EPF special withdrawal to be credited tomorrow. Sarawak Cancer Centre found a home in Kota Samarahan, and Christians worldwide celebrate Easter after 2 years. Those are the headlines for tonight. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Muhammad Yusuf, and you're now watching TVS Nightline. We begin with this top story. The payment for the Employees Provident Fund, or EPF special withdrawal, will be made earlier on Monday, April 18th, as compared to April 20th as originally scheduled. Minister of Finance Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said the payment would be credited in stages beginning tomorrow, April 18th.
Permohonan untuk pengeluaran ini telah pun dibuka kepada ahli di bawah umur 55 tahun bermula 1 April 2022 dan akan berakhir pada 30 April 2022. Manakala pembayaran pula akan bermula pada esok hari, iaitu 18 April 2022.
Tengku Zafrul said he hoped the withdrawal would ease the burden of the people for the upcoming Aidilfitri celebration. The government recently announces a special withdrawal of up to 10,000 ringgit for EPF members under the age of 55 for the last time. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob previously said the decision was made based on the results of a comprehensive study and research among the people who are still economically affected, losing income and rebuilding their lives.
The long-awaited Sarawak Cancer Centre has finally found its home. The new centre will occupy the same space as Sarawak Heart Centre in Kota Samarahan, as the hospital has a complete health facility to house the cancer centre.
Yeah, it will be at the Pusat Jantung, because that's the only place that we got land that we can expand.
Within the vicinity?
Yeah, within vicinity. The land survey is looking whether they can make the Pusat Jantung land bigger or not, because there's a lot of common facilities that we can build, because infectious disease center is there already, then Pusat Jantung is there already, Unimas is building a hospital there already, so that area will be a healthcare cluster.
Once completed, Samarahan would turn into a health metropolis, an important area for Sarawak in terms of research and healthcare.
So that's why we group them together. Then if any discovery, you need manufacturing, all those things, you go down to the Samajaya. So that whole area is our last chance for Sarawak to do a health metropolis. Everything from human resources to clinical work to manufacturing. And that's why it's a very important area for us. And we hope the good news will come very soon.
Meanwhile, Dr. Sim explained that the Sarawak government has offered a loan worth 1 billion ringgit to the federal government to build a cancer centre in Sarawak. However, the matter would first need to be presented in Parliament.
YBKJ promised he will speak to the Prime Minister, and they have to present the paper to the federal cabinet, because we have offer, but the federal government has said yes, we agree.
Now, Christians worldwide today celebrate Easter Sunday with a full prayer service, the first after 2 years due to the COVID-19 restrictions.
In Vatican, head of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis, marked an Easter of war on Sunday, as he urged leaders to hear the people's plea for peace in Ukraine and criticized Russia for dragging the country into a cruel and senseless conflict. The Pope made his address to about 50,000 people in St. Peter's Square after a long Mass. It was the first Easter since 2019 that the public was allowed to attend, following 2 years of COVID-19 restrictions. Over in Jerusalem, prayers echoed in the rotunda of Church of the Holy Sepulchre as Christians from around the world were once again able to attend Easter Sunday Mass in 2 years. Around 500 worshippers passed through the huge wooden doors of the church that is the focus of the most important festival in the Christian calendar. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson delivered a special message to Ukraine, telling them to be strong and have courage in their hearts. His message comes as tensions in the port area of Mariupol remain high. On Sunday, Russia gave Ukrainian soldiers an ultimatum to lay down arms in the southeastern port, which Moscow said its forces nearly completely controlled in what will be its biggest capture of the nearly 2-month war.
Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Saturday made an explicit announcement in his own word that the world should be prepared for the possibility of Russia using nuclear weapons. Though he did not provide any evidence on the allegation, several countries had demonstrated readiness, including Britain, USA, Italy, and Turkey. To this, he asked other countries to be prepared in a number of ways.
І не треба чекати від Росії, коли вона буде використовувати ядерну зброю. Світу не треба, світу треба готуватись до цього. Готуватись по-різному, не тільки антидоти, тощо там, да, бомбосховища, але з ними треба говорити, підписувати бумагу, затиснути їх економіку так, щоб у них не було навіть думки про це. Ось що я маю на увазі. А треба очікувати від них. Вони можуть використовувати будь-яку зброю, я впевнений в цьому, будь-яку зброю. І вірити.
He disclosed that Ukraine is not receiving enough weaponry, although Russia seems to think of the opposite, which he said is beneficial to Ukraine. At the same time, Zelensky also spoke about Mariupol, the city that has seen the worst humanitarian catastrophe since the conflict erupted.
В Маріуполі ситуація. Ситуація точно не покращується щоденно. Заблоковані наші військові, разом з ними заблоковані поранені люди. Є багато вбитих, є 200, багато людей. На жаль, є гуманітарна криза, невистачення їжі, води, немає медикаментів. Тим не менш, хлопці героїчно захищаються, ми їм вдячні за це. Подяки однієї точно замало, і тому розробляються ті чи інші плани і перемовні процеси. Скажу чесно, довіри до російських перемовників щодо Маріуполя, чесно.
Zelensky further added that the war can't be solved in a diplomatic way, and peace talks can only be undertaken once the war is over. In March, Kremlin stated that Russia would only resort to nuclear weapons when a country's existence is being threatened, not as a result of the Ukraine conflict.
Moving on, a dispute between business associates was the cause of the alleged assault that occurred at an eatery along Jalan Matang on Saturday. Padawan Police Chief Superintendent Abang Zainal Abidin Abang Ahmad said a group of armed men appeared and assaulted 3 victims aged between 27 to 43 years old. They suffered head injuries and were rushed to the hospital. Police have arrested 7 out of the 10 suspects aged between 26 to 40 years old to facilitate investigation under Section 148 of the Penal Code. Zainal denied elements of gang relation or gambling debts to the case as presumed by netizens on social media. Police also seized several sharp objects believed to be used as weapons at the crime scene. Now, an 18-year-old female student from a local institution of higher learning in Muka was scammed of 2,222 ringgit. She was tricked via a part-time job scheme operating online as a clerk to process online purchases via shopping website Zalora, with the promise of 15% commission per transaction on the site. According to Muka Police Chief Deputy Superintendent Muhammad Rizal alias, the victim was in touch with the scammer via WhatsApp for registration and to await for further instruction.
Bagi mendapatkan komisen tersebut, mangsa telah diarah untuk membuat bayaran pendahuluan dan dijanjikan pulangan komisen beserta modal yang telah dikeluarkan. Mangsa yang tertarik telah membuat transaksi pemindahan wang sebanyak 2 kali ke dalam akaun yang diberikan suspek dengan jumlah keseluruhan sebanyak RM2,222 pada 15 April 2022. Mangsa akhirnya mula menyedari telah ditipu apabila sering diminta untuk membuat pembayaran lain dan tidak menerima komisen seperti yang telah dijanjikan.
Rizal advised the public to be cautious of any attempts to scam through different channels, especially via Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, and more. The case is being investigated under Section 420 of the Penal Code. Now we'll be taking a short break. When we come back, will Malaysia see the first Sarawakian to be appointed as Deputy Prime Minister? And Prime Minister calls out airline companies on soaring airfares. Right here on TVS Nightline. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, Parti Pesaka Bumiputera Bersatu PBB Vice President Datuk Seri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah is of the opinion that regardless of whoever forms the next government after the 15th general election, the post of Deputy Prime Minister should be given to either Sarawak or Sabah, as the two states have both contributed immensely to the country.
Dan jawatan-jawatan tersebut bagi saya, kalau tidak Perdana Menteri, adalah timbalan Perdana Menteri. Tidak salah untuk Sabah dan Sarawak diberi jawatan-jawatan seperti itu. 2 timbalan Perdana Menteri ataupun 1 timbalan Perdana Menteri untuk digila-gilakan.
Earlier, the Minister of Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts was met by reporters at a press conference after the Kasih Belia Ramadan program on Sunday. Now, placing a Sarawakian representative as the Deputy Prime Minister or the Prime Minister is definitely timely and the right move. So as a political analyst from University Malaysia Sarawak UNIMAS, Dick Lembang, in response to Abdul Karim's comment, Lembang also foresees the move as contributing to the political stability of the country.
Perkara ini bukan kerana kita menyumbang kepada kestabilan politik dalam tempoh polemik politik yang berlaku dalam beberapa tahun kebelakangan ini. Tetapi perkara ini penting bagi memastikan keadilan, kesaksamaan dalam pembentukan Malaysia itu sendiri. Dan Sarawak memang wajar diberikan jawatan timbalan Perdana Menteri ini. Setidak-tidaknya jawatan timbalan Perdana Menteri sebab kita kebanyakan parti yang memerintah, parti yang memegang tampuk pemerintah di Sarawak ni, dia tidak bertanding di Semenanjung.
Additionally, he said that a Sarawakian or Sabahan candidate in the post could create equality and balance of power.
Dari dulu lagi perkara ini harus dilakukan oleh para pemimpin dari Semenanjung untuk menunjukkan keadilan, kesesamaan kepada pemimpin rakyat Sabah dan Sarawak, dan kita berharap dalam politik yang akan mendatang ini ataupun situasi politik yang mendatang ini pemimpin-pemimpin harus berjiwa besar dengan memberikan jawatan timbalan.
Airline operators are reminded not to make excessive profits by raising ticket prices to Sarawak and Sabah during the festive season. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the recent sky-high flight ticket was extreme as the people had no alternative other than to fly. According to Sabri, the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs MDTCA Minister Datuk Seri Alexander Nantalingi had been asked to investigate any elements of violation under the Price Control and Anti-Profiteering Act 2011 in the ticket price increase. The issue of the costly flight ticket to Sarawak and Sabah became a trending topic this week, as the price displayed on the airline's website was said to have increased up to 2,000 ringgit for return flights, which is an increase of 566% compared to the usual price of 300 ringgit for the same trip. Following that, Transport Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wee Ka Siong said the government is doing its level best to ensure that the flight ticket between West Malaysia and East Malaysia would be reduced in time for the festive season, adding that the people's interests would always be the priority for the government.
Kedua, apa yang kita lakukan, kita minta syarikat penerbangan nak tak nak, mereka kena buat kerana ini adalah aspirasi kerajaan untuk turunkan kedatangan. Sabah Sarawak dan Semenanjung, mod pengangkutan yang ada cuma satu saja, iaitu melalui penerbangan. Itu adalah hasrat kerajaan untuk kita pastikan ianya diturunkan. Dengan apa cara sekalipun, ianya perlu diturunkan. Yang amat berhormat Perdana Menteri sentiasa prihatin dan mengarahkan saya supaya cari kaedah yang praktikal, apa cara sekalipun kita bantu rakyat. Jadi saya rasa terpanggil.
His ministry has also taken into consideration the inputs of both the Premier of Sarawak and the Chief Minister of Sabah in relation to this matter. The Ministry of Transport had also held a meeting with the relevant industry players, including the Malaysian Aviation Commission MAVCOM, Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia CAAM, as well as airline operators Malaysia Airlines, AirAsia and Malindo Airways on Thursday. Now, the state government's ambition to establish its own boutique airline is set to benefit the people as it offers more flight options to passengers and competitive pricing to other airlines.
Kita perlu ada sektor-sektor baru dan juga airline yang baru lah. Sebab itulah kerajaan Sarawak melihatnya dari perspektif itu ya. Tapi kita tahu apabila dia ada masuk dalam pasaran dengan competition yang ada, harga akan menurun insya-Allah.
State Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts Minister Dr. Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah said while it would not resolve the issue of expensive flight ticket prices, it can greatly help the people who are affected. The Asajaya Assemblyman also stood firm in his stand that a ceiling price for airline tickets should be introduced.
Welcome back. Now on to some more global update. Ramadan bombings in Thailand's southern part, where many Muslims reside, will not deter peace talks with the rebels following two explosions that erupted on Friday, which killed one innocent bystander and injured 3 police officers. Thailand authorities have identified the attacker, a group known as G5, from the Patani United Liberation Organization, or PULO, who decided to claim responsibility for the attacks. Since the attack, PULO has been excluded from the talks between Bangkok and the Barisan Revolusi Nasional, or BRN, which agreed to stop any attacks or violence during Ramadan until 14th May. Government negotiators did not take the violence lightly and reached out to BRN so that these attacks can be stopped before ruining the ongoing peace talks. However, BRN has declined to respond. Peace talks seeks a political solution to the decades-long conflict under the framework of the Thai Constitution, which has been initiated since the beginning of 2013. On Saturday, PULO's president Kasturi said these talks are not inclusive and is going too fast. More than 7,300 people have been killed since the conflict erupted between the government and shadowy groups seeking independence for the Malay Muslim provinces of Narathiwat, Yala, Patani, and parts of Songkhla. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that it will be redirecting its energy exports eastwards as European countries shun the country's gas. He said EU countries' talks of cutting off energy supplies from Russia has only spiked the prices of fossil fuel and destabilized the market.
Несмотря на эти очевидные для всех вещи, европейские страны постоянно ведут разговоры об отказе от российских поставок, чем дополнительно дестабилизируют рынок и сами своими руками взвинчивают цены. Более того, они готовы забыть о своей так называемой зеленой повестке и снова сделать ставку на энергетику с так называемым высоким углеродным следом, который еще совсем недавно хотели полностью прикрыть. Называли ее архаичной и грязной. Многие политические силы выстраивали свои избирательные кампании на экологических лозунгах. Где это все теперь? Все выброшено просто на помойку. Действуют на практике совсем иначе. Изначально серьезные специалисты и аналитики предупреждали, причем публично говорили, что ускоренный зеленый переход на практике невозможно будет осуществить без больших издержек. Так все и оказалось на деле. А теперь появился замечательный повод прикрыть свои собственные просчеты и свалить все, в данном случае на Россию. Причем просчеты и некомпетентность не только в энергетике, но и во многих.
To this, Putin said Russia will embark on building infrastructure for eastward oil and gas exports as the country needs to diversify its energy supplies away from Europe.
Необходимо диверсифицировать экспорт. Будем исходить из того, что в обозримой перспективе поставки энергоресурсов в западном направлении все-таки будут сокращаться. Поэтому важно закрепить тенденцию последних лет, шаг за шагом переориентировать наш экспорт на быстро растущие рынки Юга и Востока. Для этого уже в ближайшее время нужно определить ключевые объекты инфраструктуры и приступить к их строительству.
Putin also mulled over the idea that Russian energy exports should also be rerouted to Africa and Latin America amid a push to diversify supplies from the West. Construction of new oil and gas pipelines should be considered from hydrocarbon fields in West and East Siberia. This, he said, is proposed to meet the fuel demands of domestic consumers, including car owners, transport companies, and agriculture. We end the Nightline with a good note. Age should never be a factor in one's success, especially in business. Kompia House, established by 22-year-old Awang Ame Hamzi Awang Muhammad Muda and 23-year-old Nur Huda Hamka, is on the right track to becoming the next thriving bakery in Kuching. What's interesting is that these two youngsters are also studying at the same time. Though not necessarily in the business field, they have proven that through perseverance, innovation, and hard work, success is not an impossible reality.
Bisnes Kompia House tu diilhamkan daripada partner kami Huda Hamka, and we both decided untuk buka stall tu pada 2019 lah. And what drove us to build this Kompia House is kami dua mau cari wang sampingan untuk kami dua dimpun lah. Waktu ya kami doing my foundation and my partner was doing her degree, and currently kami tengah mula geologist, I mean my third year, and my partner graduated last year.
According to Huda, the idea came to her randomly when her family has always been a fan of the traditional treat.
Why Kompia? Sebab mula-mula datang random je. My mom asked me to bake some kompia because lama dah pergi Sibu bah time ya. And our family really like to eat kompia. And then just one day my mom asked me to like, let's try pola kompia lah for minum petang. And I just try just because I have to lah, because my mom asked me, right? So I have to try, and then it turns out really good lah. Lepas ya, I asked my partner to try, and then nya pun in the same page like, oh, let's open a business out of it lah.
Amir, who is currently studying at University Kebangsaan Malaysia UKM, stated that the business has projected an approximate profit of 200% since Kompia House was established. Kompia House is now well equipped with machinery to increase product yields, and purchases were made without loans or assistance. He said costing is key to an effective rollout, as Amir himself had several hiccups that taught him a valuable lesson.
We came up with Kompia House sebab at that point of time when we started, we only introduced two flavor, which is Kompia, only one flavor, which is Kompia manis lah. But then after about a year plus, we introduced 4 more flavors, and then another year we introduced another 4 more flavors. So total we currently have 9 flavors. So daripada siya kami name ourselves Kompia House sebab we are home to Kompia lah.
The different flavors of Kompia introduced by Amir and Huda have won the hearts of many. Huda, who holds the secret recipe of their coveted Kompia, said the older generation prefers the more traditional flavor of a plain Kompia, while the younger generation are more open towards modern flavors such as Biscoff, butter, and salmon mayo. Huda, who is a software engineer graduate from University Malaysia Sarawak Unimas, has the vision to make Kompia House a brand that is available in stores throughout Malaysia.
I want to make Kompia great again. I want to really make Kompia ya setaraf dengan ikan terubuk masin, dengan kek lapis. I want people from Semenanjung to know Kompia, and then they will bring Kompia to Semenanjung, just like us Sarawak can bring gardenia to here, right? So that's my plan lah. And of course I want to expand. I really want to have more franchises, but we'll see lah what's God's plan.
Both Amir and Huda hopes that Kompia will be enjoyed by all generation and their legacy will continue.
And that's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. For more headlines, head on to our website at TVSTVMY or follow us on our social media. I'm Muhammad Yusuf. Thank you for watching.